Hey everybody, Bobby Umar here, and welcome to the Power Connection Chat for my bi-weekly broadcast. I'm here with John Porter from BarterPay. Hello, John.
Hello, Bobby. Thanks for having me on.
Delighted to have you here. So if you're just joining us again, I'm here every Mondays and Wednesdays at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to talk about issues and topics around leadership, personal branding, public speaking, employee engagement, business development, entrepreneurship, and then I bring on some amazing speakers and guests that share their own kind of story about what they're doing, what's going on. So if you're joining us, a few logistics. How today our topic is about how to use bartering to conserve your cash. I mean, right now we are during the COVID crisis, so businesses are looking to conserve cash. Bartering is a fantastic tool, and who better to talk about this than the CEO of BarterPay, right? That makes sense to me. And so I had to barter my favorite sweater to get him on this show, and thankfully he's here. And hope that sweater fits. It's double extra large, John. So I apologize.
It must be en route through UPS, and I didn't get it in the mail yet.
Oh, sorry, COVID crisis. So it'll probably arrive in the fall. So I apologize. Yeah. So if you are joining us again, comment below. We want to engage you. So let us know where you're from. Are you from North America, South America, Australia, Africa, Asia, Europe? Let us know. Do you have any questions about how to conserve cash? What are you doing to conserve cash? What are your thoughts about bartering? Share your comments below. Tag people if you like what you're hearing. You can also, like, clap, heart, light bulb, and smiley face, and get people to join the conversation. Already we have somebody. Jay Banerjee says, greetings. Great. We love people. So join us. Say hello. Let us know what's going on. And again, you can clap and light bulb. And if you really like to share your own page and let people know what this broadcast is all about. Because, we're broadcasting to a lot of people out there, and we want to hear from you. So let's start off with John, maybe telling us a bit about your background, your story about who you are and kind of where you came from.
For sure. So, my name is John Porter, founder and CEO of BarterPay, a dad to 4 sons, and wow. married 24 years this August to my childhood sweetheart, Debbie. So nice. Again, our sons are 20, 19, 16, and 13. So it's been an absolute blur the last 20 years trying to build an unconventional business in a time where the technology wasn't there and the mindset of the entrepreneur. The marketplace wasn't really ready for the whole organized bartering idea. But yeah, that's my personal side. We live in the beautiful Niagara region in a little town called Vineland. And in terms of my story, my journey into entrepreneurship, I was literally headed to Waterloo University to be a civil engineer. I grew up the son of a surveyor, a construction surveyor, and so I got to liking, building roads and bridges and that sort of thing. And so I went through high school thinking that I was going to be an engineer. And then the summer between going to university and before going to university, I got a job. in sales and marketing and in direct sales. And I really fell in love with this whole idea of selling and, transferring knowledge and, helping people. And so I actually just made a real left-hand turn and said, hey, I don't know if I want to be an engineer. I think I like sort of the sales and marketing. So anyways, I actually went to work for a company in Toronto at the time that was a bartering system that was just kind of a new company. And from there, they hosted a big convention all about the bartering industry. And this is like in the mid 90s. It was like 96. Wow. Yeah. Okay. And then it was crazy. And then they hosted a big convention with all these other barter companies from across the world, mostly North American and US based. And one company in particular was at that event I met with, and they wanted to come into Canada. So I aligned with them from 1996 through till 2017, 2018, and we've been in the barter payment space for over 24 years now, rebranded to BarterPay in May of 2018 after I bartered my way to a meeting with Gary Vaynerchuk in New York City, which we can talk about a little bit later, but that was the impetus behind sort of the major rebrand.
That's awesome. Yeah. And, I was a former engineer. I did engineering, and I actually I worked there for a couple of years, and I gave it up and never went back in. It looks like, and we have people joining us. Alif says from Toronto, Julie's from Stouffville, Canada, and Julie says she's a Eng University of Waterloo alumni. So there you go. We have some engineers on the call.
It's so amazing, and what makes it even more, the circle of life, so to speak. My second son, Jackson, who's 19, took a year off between graduating last June and now. He's actually going to be attending Waterloo engineering in September.
Wow.
So 25 years later, one of my kids is going there as an engineering student. So it's pretty cool to see that happen.
That is cool. That is cool, and I have no idea where my kids are going to go when they go to university. That'll be kind of weird, but yeah. So tell me also, first of all, I mean, how are things going? I mean, like we're all going through this kind of COVID-19 situation. How are things going for you personally and for your business?
So for our business, I mean, we're very obviously our customers are small to medium sized businesses. That's our client base, right? So we're very keen on making sure that small businesses are as stable as possible, and we can help them in as many ways as possible through this crisis. At the same time, bartering is almost becoming an essential service at this point, where every small to medium sized business across the world, if they're still under lockdown, is sitting on either idle time and space from canceled events or canceled contracts or deferred contracts or whatever. If they're a service provider, it's expiring time and space. If they're in the product-based business, it's all about idle, paid-up inventory sitting on the shelves because all the supply chains had no time to react. So you've got this massive amount of merchandise that's just locked in the stores and on the shelves and in the warehouses. And so our business itself, our 4,000 businesses on our platform, obviously our barter transaction volume, which we can talk about in a second how it works, but our bartering transaction volume actually went down about, about 50% because the businesses are just closed. So you just can't even barter if you're closed. But there's never been a bigger surge of businesses learning about bartering, learning about barter pay itself, and then this massive amount of onboarding that we're doing with these businesses joining the platform to get up to speed. Because as we climb out of this, it's not like all of a sudden one day we're locked down, the next day it's open. It's going to be a little bit of a slow climb. So 1, 2, 3 years, it's all about the new normal. How's that going to look? And so I think bartering is going to become an essential part of every small business's repertoire. I mean, cash is still king, but barter is better than having expiring time and space or idle inventory. So it's all about marrying those two things together.
And you talk about coming full circle. Now we're coming full circle with barter pay, which started thousands of years ago, and here we are. So it's coming full circle, which is good. It
has come full circle. I mean, people always ask me, well, how does it work? And the first thing I touch on is the fact that bartering is the original form of commerce.
Right.
I mean, it's how business was invented a long time ago. But for two parties to enter into a fair and equitable transaction, a barter transaction, each side has to want what the other person has at the same time and at the same value. So if you were looking for a new roof on your home and I don't need any personal branding coaching, we can't do business. Or if I do, and your roof is 10 grand and my personal branding needs is only 2, we still can't really do a trade. There's sort of a disparity there. So it's actually called, believe it or not, it's in the I don't know, the business books or whatever. Maybe it's even in the dictionary. It's called the double coincidence of wants. Okay. And so that's the problem. That's the problem with direct barter. It's also called contra in the corporate world. And believe me, millions and millions and billions of dollars in contra is happening every day around the globe in the regular world of business. But yeah, this double coincidence of wants can pose a big problem. So to solve that problem, we've created this platform called Barter Pay that allows a business to open an account with Barter Pay, establish an account number. Now they can offer up their goods or services onto the platform, and in exchange for barter credits. Now, one Barter Pay credit equals $1 Canadian for valuation, accounting, and tax purposes. So they can offer up their goods or services onto the platform. They can bank those barter credits in exchange. Now, regardless of who's acquired their goods or services, they can now take their barter credits, this newly earned revenue stream that does not expire, and they can take those barter credits and barter and trade with anybody else in the entire system, locally, regionally, provincially, nationally, soon to be internationally when we enter the US market in the coming months. So no longer are they tied to one-on-one transactions. It's now a one-to-many bartering ecosystem that's been created, like a parallel sharing economy, for lack of a better word.
That's awesome. So then, and maybe you can explain a bit more about, how, let's get right into the kind of the barter. I mean, so explain, the topic today is about how bartering can actually help with, conserving cash. So explain how it's going to help businesses right now when it comes to conserving their cash.
For sure. So Just some real life examples that have been happening in the last few weeks. We've got a restaurant client, for example, in Burlington, Ontario, Canada, who, while they're closed, they're obviously anticipating a reopening, and they want to paint the restaurant and freshen up the place. And so, I mean, they can go at it one of three ways. They can either just take 10 grand out of their bank account, which is precious cash, and go and spend it with a painter. Not the most, not the top priority for them right now. Or they can, open up Google or go on Google and try and find a painter that needs 10 grand worth of their restaurant gift cards. Again, that's the double coincidence of wants problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or they, in this case, they join BarterPay. They open up their account. They're now able to offer up gift cards and do takeout on the BarterPay system, earn those barter credits, and they can take the barter credits now and use them with the painter. So now what's happening is, instead of touching 10 grand worth of precious cash, they're literally just offering up 10 grand worth of their own gift cards to the system.
So as a painter, as a painter, I don't actually have to, because I wouldn't want to get $10,000 worth of credit. So, but
right.
If I get $10,000 of barter credits, I can now use that to get other stuff that's on the system.
Correct. So maybe you as the painter need advertising or printing, or you want to do some renovations or some staff incentives, or buy maybe very new tires for your truck or whatever it is, right? So it's like that's the one-to-many bartering network that we've created. Yeah.
Oh, I like that. That's really good. That's a good example. And I mean, then how come? What's stopping companies from leveraging the barter pay system? I mean, what are their challenges in terms of what stops them from wanting to use something like this? Because it seems like a really good idea, especially now.
Well, 100%. And that's why we're seeing this massive surge in activity. I mean, I've been on the phone with some really big Canadian associations. The Ontario Chamber of Commerce just signed a provincial partnership with us. It's launched already, but that's going to see barter pay being introduced to 77,000 small businesses across the province. And it's going to have this cascading effect across Canada with the other provincial chambers of commerce start to come on board. But the reason that businesses wouldn't have necessarily wanted to barter in the past isn't because it wasn't a good idea. It's because it's not a necessity. I mean, it's just cash is still king. Cash is still king. When I say cash, I mean Canadian dollars. You can't run your business on a bartering system. You can't pay your fuel or your mortgage payments or your core wages or core supplies or your taxes and stuff. Like, you can't run your entire life on a bartering system. It's impossible. But bartering is greater than zero. It's greater than expiring time and space or idle inventory. So what we had before COVID, pre-COVID, you had 1.1 million small businesses in Canada who I have to kind of get their attention, settle them down, talk to them about bartering, and hope that they like it enough that they're going to put it in their tool belt and use it when it makes sense. Mm-hmm. Whereas now that we're in this season of business and in the world economy right now, there's 1.1 million small businesses now wondering what just happened. They're learning new things. They're going on webinars, and every single one of them has a 10x increase in their spare capacity and or idle inventory. So it's just the shift in the economy that's happened that's made bartering come to the surface in a big way.
Wow. Okay. And you mentioned a bit about your background, but was there any more to the story in terms of how you started this idea and came up with this idea?
Yeah, just that I literally stumbled across it, for lack of a better word, by being at that convention and learning about the bartering system and just grabbed hold of it. I saw it right away. Like, I saw, wow, this could literally be a way that can help small businesses grow and conserve cash and convert their idle time and what we call business waste into value for themselves and for charity. We can talk about that a little bit later, but we also have a whole social impact movement going on called Barter Pay It Forward. But to answer your question, people always ask me, how did this start? Because it's like, picture the guy who had to sell the first fax machine, right? Hey, if you buy this unit, it's going to be $10,000. It's going to take up a massive desk in your office. And but you know what? You can stick a piece of paper in here. You can dial a number, and you can send a piece of paper across the ocean or down the street. And that's cool. But who can I fax to? Oh, nobody. You're the first one to buy a fax machine, right? So It's all about it's the nodes, it's the network that has to be established. it's the conundrum that any marketplace business faces of buyers and sellers and having that balance, right? So when I went into my first business back in 1996 as a 20-year-old, I flipped open the Yellow Pages. Most of your audience probably remembers what the Yellow Pages are, but some don't. But we needed some 2 workstations.
Or fax machines.
Or fax machines, you're right. We needed 2 workstations. And so I literally flipped open the Yellow Pages to office furniture. I started cold calling. And about the 5th or 6th call, I get to a business called Terrence Webster Design in Ancaster, Ontario, just outside of Hamilton. And I get Terry Webster on the phone, and I start pitching him this idea of bartering for, some furniture. And he says, "Oh, I love to horse trade. I love bartering. I love to trade stuff. I just did a deal with McMaster and took out some of their old equipment or their old furniture and put in some new stuff. Come and see me. We should be able to make a deal." So I walked in there, gave him the pitch, told him what we were up to, what my idea was, kind of what we were doing. And he said, "Yeah, sure. I got 2 workstations in the back. It's going to be $3,000. I'll put it on the barter system and earn those credits." Well, halfway through filling out his application, I knew the question was coming, and I just had to be, outright, obviously be honest. And he said, "Oh, John, before I join your bartering community, when I bank these credits into my account, where can I use them? Where can I spend them? What can I get back?" And I had to look at Terry square in the face and say, like, nowhere. Like, there's nobody else. You're the first business to join the system, and there's nobody else. He said, "Okay, let me get this straight. You want me to give you my furniture, get paid in a way that has zero liquidity? Nothing." I said, "Yes." I said, "But," I said, "it's not going to stop there, Terry. Why don't you give me a list? Give me a wish list of things that you're about to spend your money on, and I'll go and work on that list. I'll hustle. I'll talk to those vendors, and I'll bring them one by one, if I can, into the bartering system." Right. And that's how we'll kind of get this thing started. So that's what happened. He just believed in me and gave me a wish list of 5 or 6 things, a printing company. And then I had to call the printing company, and they would say the same thing. I'd say, "Well, you're the second person, sorry." And, over the course of 20 something years, when you're, again, trying to build a business that's unconventional, when the marketplace isn't ready for it, the technology's not there, and you've got 4 little boys that are being born, it's the last 20 years has been an absolute blur, of how to grow this bartering ecosystem. But thank goodness I stuck with it, because I'm one, not to give up on anything, and I just knew that there was going to come a time where we hit that critical mass at that tipping point. And I think that now that we've got 4,000 businesses on the platform across 18 cities in Canada and growing very quickly, and now these massive national and provincial partnerships are coming to the table, this is where we're at right now, and I think we're going to scale up over the coming years. Yeah.
Was there a tipping point? When was the tipping point? Was it like 100 companies in, 50 companies in, or was it later? Like, where did you feel like there was a tipping point?
Well, for each marketplace, because in every city that I've gone into in Canada, I've had to relive that whole story again, right? Going in and signing the first business, but it gets easier every time, because I kind of get a kick out of it, and I have a story to tell, and we've got lots of action and years of experience behind us, case studies. But going into each city was like literally starting from scratch again, just on a different level. And so the tipping point hasn't even come yet. Like, we're literally anticipating. I think the impetus of a massive explosion in the barter pay system is actually right now. I think over the next 90 to 120 days, I'm running 10, 12 webinars a week right now, where businesses are joining. I haven't even met these businesses, and they're joining through the Ontario Chamber Partnership, the Restaurants Canada Partnership. I'm in discussions with numerous other large Canadian associations and provincial associations, and very, very large companies are starting to reach out to me because they're sitting on enormous amounts of inventory that's idle. And some of it has shelf life that might need to be discarded. That's a tragedy. So they don't want this value to go to waste. So if they can actually barter it for something they need, or even if they barter it and get those credits, the barter credits, and sit on them for 3 years, it's better than it having going to waste, right? Yeah.
Right. Okay, cool. And so now you got to tell us the story about how you were able to barter for Gary Vaynerchuk, because I love Gary Vaynerchuk. He's one of my favorite people that I follow. Tell me the story.
Oh my goodness. So actually, I think, were you at Haste and Hustle in January 2017 in St. Catharines, or with Shauna back then, or no?
No, I spoke at the one on
the Toronto one, right?
Yeah, I spoke on stage in Toronto.
Yeah, 2 years ago. Okay, so January 2017, I was literally just getting ready to rebrand, and it had been in the back of my mind. I had, back in 2012, my wife and I had to sell off our house and our vineyard. Both of us came from no money. We've had no bank support, no financial support, no investors, completely bootstrapped. In 2012, we had to sell off our home and raise about $500,000 to build out our software. And in the reason we did that is because we wanted to leave the brand that we were attached to in the U.S. market, because they weren't doing as well in the U.S. and it was sort of a stumbling block for me. So in 2012, I decided to build software. In 2017, we had launched the software and had been operating for 2 or 3 years, still under the same old name. And so I started to get into this whole idea of going to events and, some personal development, professional development. And the first event I ever went to for business was Haste and Hustle in St. Catharines in 2017. Well, the keynote speaker at that event was Gary Vee. Excuse me, I've got a glass of water here. I've been talking a lot in these webinars, so my voice gets a little bit hoarse.
Right.
Anyway, so I met Gary Vee. So he does this big talk. It was an amazing talk. I thought, wow, this guy really resonates with me. I mean, he's got his style, and I like his style, and it's not for everybody, but what he said resonated with me. And so I got close to him afterwards and started talking to him about the idea of organized barter. And he actually said, well, I'm interested in learning more about that and hearing more. So I actually got on video him telling me on a selfie video that he wanted to actually follow up and have a conversation about that. So anyways, after the event, I started to tweet at him a couple weeks later. Hey, Gary, it's Canada's barter guy, John, we met at Haste and Hustle, blah, blah, blah. And I just started to DM him or tweet at him, and no response. Whether he saw it or it was this team Gary Vee, it doesn't really matter, but nobody responded. I started to tweet the video of him telling me to get in touch with him, and still no response. I started to tweet that video once a day for 30 days and still no response. I was just following his advice, just DM, don't give up. And so anyways, after about a month and a half of hearing nothing, I thought, wow, this is crazy. I got to make it my side hustle to find another way to hack the line and get into a meeting with Gary Vee without him, having to approve it or whatever. And so I thought, well, if I'm going to do that as a side hustle through the whole year of 2017, the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to try and barter my way into his office by trading this for this, right? And so to do that, I had to kind of reverse engineer a series of transactions that would make sense. So the first thing I had to do was find a person that Gary Vee owed a favor to. Because if I could get to that person, then I could probably potentially trade something for that favor of being able to get a meeting with their boss, which was Gary. So I thought, well, who better than probably David Rock, D-Rock, Gary Vee's personal videographer. If there's anybody that Gary Vee might owe a favor to, it's D-Rock, because this guy has just spent the last 18 months of his life following Gary around and making him look great with the Daily V show and cutting that. And obviously that was an amazing show. And so I literally went on Instagram and searched David Rock and saw, I searched at D-Rock, his handle, but he came up third as at David Rock NYC. So I click on his name. I'll just be another few minutes here. I got to get through this story, but I click on David Rock's name on at David Rock NYC, and I start going through his feed to try and find, where he went to college, what his favorite sports team was, try to creep it a little bit just to kind of figure out what I could trade him. And then it dawned on me, I hit the back arrow, and it dawned on me that the thing that David Rock would probably want is the at D-Rock Instagram username. And so I click on at D-Rock. This is where it gets really freaky. I click on at D-Rock, and the person in all of the world who had the at D-Rock Instagram username was a gentleman in St. Catharines, where I live, who I knew personally.
Wow, really?
Crazy. It was
That's crazy.
Named Derek. Yes. So I quickly DM Derek and I say, hey, how attached are you to that at D-Rock username? He goes, oh, I've had that since I was, a younger kid or whatever. That's been my nickname. But you know what? Some guy from New York, John, tried to get that from me, but I didn't do a deal. Of course, it was David Rock. But for you, maybe I'd be willing to work a deal. I said, okay, well, you just moved into a new home. Maybe there's some construction that you need done. What can we trade for it? And he said, well, I'm a handy guy. I don't really need anything. And I said, okay, well, I know your daughter likes to do the show jumping for the horses. Like she's a horse show jumper. What if I got you a custom made saddle for your daughter's horse? And he's like, oh, if you can get me a custom saddle for my daughter's horse, I'll trade you my at D-Rock username. I was like, okay, great. So I call up our client in Newmarket, Ontario, called Schleza Custom Saddles. They're a barter pay member in Newmarket. They're one of the most renowned saddle manufacturers in the entire world. And I asked the owner, I said, hey, would you mind bartering me a saddle? I'll pay you in barter credits. And she said, no problem. So anyways, this is the way it went. My wife and I took some furniture out of our home and put it on the barter pay system. We earned barter credits. We took the barter credits and got the saddle. And then we took the saddle, traded it for the @DRock name. And then I took the @DRock name, messaged David Rock and said, hey, are you interested in this name? He says, absolutely. What do you want for it? I said, I want a meeting with your boss. He said, which one? I said, Gary. He's like, no way. I'm not even going to ask him. I'm not going to use my personal closeness to Gary to get that meeting. There's no way. I was like, okay, no problem. Have a nice day. 6 months goes by. I had to play poker for 6 months. Didn't say a word, didn't message, didn't ping, nothing. All of a sudden, this is now February. All of a sudden now in August, I'm sitting at my in-laws' dinner table and my phone goes ding. And it says, are you still up for that trade? And it was a message from David Rock. I was like, absolutely. And so I got on the phone the next day. Him and Gary were down in LA launching his K-Swiss sneaker. And I told him my story. He says, well, Gary V, he's going to like this story. It's a really great story. Let me pitch it to him. Now he says it, he tells him the story. Gary says yes to the meeting. I get an email 2 days later. Gary said yes to the meeting. I go in there on September the 5th, 2017. I sit down with Gary V, and the first thing I start doing is telling the story about how I got the meeting. And he didn't remember that I was the same guy that back in February he wasn't responding to for the actual meeting, right? So it was just a great exchange. It ended up being 13 minutes of chit-chatting about bartering and about just business. And he released it on his social media, got 2 million views through different channels, and all of a sudden bartering was on the map. So it was anyways, that's my Gary V story, and it's really it was a lot of fun to put that one together.
That's awesome. And again, if you're just listening in now, we're talking to John Porter from BarterPay. He's the CEO and founder, and he's talking about how bartering is going to help you conserve your cash, particularly in this current COVID-19 situation that we're all dealing with. So if you have any questions for him, please comment below. Looks to me like there's a comment here that John Paul says that trading is one of the most vital parts that help empires being forged. Trading has the potential to become a part of life post-COVID-19 when one needs goods that one don't necessarily have easy, cheap, and timeless access to, especially with scarcity of cash and less reliance on the banking system. So yeah, I totally agree with that. I think that's great. If you have any more questions for John, please comment below, post them as well. But John, why don't you tell a little bit more about your charity too, in terms of how that works with BarterPay?
Absolutely. Could I take 1 minute and just talk about 3 more things that business owners can do right now during COVID to up their game?
Great. Yeah, do that first.
Okay, so one of the things that we've been teaching all of our clients to do is, for example, if you're a business owner and you owe money to anybody, or you are owed money from anybody, right, where they can't pay right now because maybe they've lost their revenue or whatever. And so a lot of our clients are approaching their vendors and saying, hey, I know I owe this invoice. Would you mind considering joining BarterPay so I can pay you in barter credits instead of money? Because I don't have the money right now, but I have access to barter. On the other side, if you're owed money from somebody, you can call them up and say, hey, if I was willing to take this payable in bartering, this receivable in barter, would you be interested in learning more about that? So we have a lot of accounts payable, accounts receivable bartering transactions happening right now. Another thing that a business can do in real time is advertise. We all know that in a market dip is the best time to actually put out your message, because the amount of impressions that you're getting is through the roof, right? So, but nobody has cash to advertise, but doing it in barter makes it affordable. So that advertise. Marketing refreshes right now. If you're shut down, let's get your logo redesigned. Let's get a new website built, but don't go spend money to do that. Do it through bartering, right? Online courses is huge right now. Even we talked about before we came on the call, Bobby, how you're pivoting to a lot of online training and courses, up-leveling, personal professional development. We've got a whole host of hundreds of people on our platform now who offer online courses and training, but they'll barter for those. So that's another great thing. And then this transitions well into the charity conversation, with donations. A lot of our clients are in real time right now making donations to charity in barter pay credits and getting a full 1-for-1 charitable tax receipt for that donation. And then these charities are using the bartering system to get what they need. So that transitions into our charity, which is called Barter Pay It Forward. We actually established our own foundation. We had a crazy number of charities approaching us saying, hey, how do we get in on this barter pay sort of infinite loop system of reciprocity? And to make it very simple, what we did was we created our own charity. It's called the Barter Pay It Forward Foundation. And so we are a Canadian registered charity as well. And so what we do now is we teach all these small businesses over here who are, bartering and earning and utilizing those barter credits. We teach them that in order to be competitive in today's, environment, and even in the future, in order to attract and retain talent, you need to be a business that's not only a great business, but you have to be environmentally friendly. You have to have ethical supply chains, and you have to be connected to your community in some way and give back and do social good. And so, this next generation of young people, they want to be working for these companies that are in that train of thought. Mm-hmm. And so, but not all companies have cash to give. It's hard to come up with cash to donate. So we've invented this new way for businesses to give back and for charities to receive funding. And so the way it works is our charity is here. Our business clients are over here. We have hundreds of thousands of barter credits now being donated to our foundation on a regular basis. We take these barter credits in our foundation and we dole them out to charities across Canada. And here's the best part. The charities go right back into the same ecosystem that they were generated from, and they extract the actual things that they need to offset their admin and overhead costs. And so it's creating this whole new incremental form of giving, because we're not touching regular cash donations. We've baked a whole new giving pie that allows these businesses to convert downtime or idle inventory into giving, using the bartering platform as the mechanism to make it all happen. So that's our charitable thing. And already in our pilot, 3.4 million barter pay credits have come from our clients through our foundation back out to charities and back into our clients. And it keeps growing every single day. We keep growing our charitable giving platform.
That's amazing. And again, there's lots of, companies now that are trying to think about how to use this now. Can you give me an example of maybe a company that could, what they're dealing with right now, and then how they can go and use you guys in the best way to help with their cash reserve,
Yeah. The best way businesses can utilize this right now is to join the platform, obviously. Establish your barter pay account number. We connect every business on the platform with a barter coach, a real person that can help you navigate the system. So once you're connected with your barter coach, what they're going to do is they're going to help you build a barter pay ad basically with our marketing department.
Okay.
We're then going to blast that ad out to our client base and to the marketplace, and we're going to start to earn you these barter credits. We're going to start to bring you brand new unsolicited business from someone else in the bartering community, right? Or different people. Right. And so the first step is earn you revenue. The next step is, as we're doing that, as we're getting the revenue in the door, the barter coach is now working with you on your wish list of things that you're looking for. Again, whether it's accounts payable, accounts receivable, advertising, marketing refreshing, online courses, donations, construction, health and wellness, car repairs. There's picture anything you can barter for. So that's what a business can do, is they can literally in real time join a circular economy, this bartering economy, get plugged into that loop, and immediately start to monetize their time or space or their inventory to get back what they need. And what that does is it immediately boosts their cash position, because they're not touching new cash, right? Yeah,
that's awesome. And then what about your new initiative on barter loans? Tell me about that.
Oh, yes. So barter loans is a program that we've launched recently that it's so amazing that we were able to help in this way, because it was just something that we thought about a number of years ago but never really pushed until now. So we've got businesses right now. I'll give you a real life example. We had a business who was not a member of Barter Pay. We had another business who was a member of Barter Pay and runs events. And of course, now they've converted to online events. but this one person who had registered for their event in the live event couldn't afford at this time during COVID to pay the monthly fee and the fee for that event. It was like almost $2,000 for the event. So our client, who was the event organizer, said, could this person join BarterPay if I took the event registration in barter? And we said, absolutely. He goes, well, how would she earn barter credits quickly enough? I said, well, we'll just do a barter loan. He says, what's that? I said, well, this is what it is. So this person is a high-end photographer in Mississauga, an artist. And so what we did was she opened her BarterPay account. We loaned her $2,000 in barter credits so she can go pay the event organizer for the event cost. And then when she reopens in a few months, she will not pay off that loan with money. All she'll do is let her barter coach offer up her art and photography back to the bartering ecosystem to earn the barter credits back, and then that pays off her loan. So she's actually paying off her loan with her own goods and services in the future. Wow. instead of having to use money today, right?
This is fascinating. So, I mean, I didn't realize the intricacies of how this is all works, and now I'm thinking about how I can actually get in there and leverage this and try to find stuff. That's really cool. So if people are watching and they want to get in touch with you, what's the best way to reach out to you and reach out to your company? Because I think it's really of great interest to a lot of people.
So yeah, I mean, the best way, the next steps, like I mentioned before, we're running a series of webinars every week. And so the best way to get in touch, obviously I'm on social media, on Instagram at BarterPayJohn, or on LinkedIn, John Porter. But the best way is to go to our website, barterpay.ca, choose the path of what type of business you are. You'll end up in one of our, sales pages that talks all about bartering. It has videos there. There's tons of information, but the call to action isn't sign up or join now or anything like that. All we want you to do is click one of the buttons that says join a live 20-minute webinar to learn more, so that we can actually make sure there's the right fit, right? We don't just want to onboard businesses for the sake of growing a big marketplace. We want to make sure there's a fit, that they're a legitimate business, obviously, that that there's a fit to work in this space. So that's all we're saying is go to barterpay.ca, join a live webinar. Once you're on the webinar, we teach you all about what we do, show some more real life examples, live Q&A, and then from there, if you're interested, we send you a join link that you can sign up online, and we get you started, get you connected with a coach, and then launch you into the BarterPay platform.
Yeah. That's amazing. I think that's really cool. I'm going to check it out actually after our call. And people are commenting. Anish, it's great to see you on here, John. You and BarterPay are awesome. Okay, so people are already loving you, John, which is great. I do want to thank you for your time. I really appreciate this. Is there anything else you want to share before we kind of close off our session for everybody?
Well, just that. Well, first of all, thank you, Bobby, before I forget, for having me on. I really appreciate you amplifying our message. I know it's what you do, and really thanks for this. Is my first ever LinkedIn Live as a guest, and so yeah, really appreciate that. But just some final thoughts would be like, if you're a small business owner, we really want to partner with you and help you as much as we can through this COVID crisis. I mean, we're here to help as many people as possible. Yeah. And we really are sensitive to the fact that not every business is sort of in our position where we're seeing this surge in activity. I talked to a couple of mentors about this and said, hey, what do we do? Like, how does our messaging need to look? And they said, look, you're providing a service to small businesses right now that needs to be talked about, and don't hold back, just get the word out and cast a really big wide net. And so yeah, we're doing that with this at the same time being very sensitive, and so we just want to partner with as many businesses as possible and help them and do what we can to save jobs and grow the economy and basically usher in the new economy, which is going to be the new normal that we're talking about, right? So
that's awesome. Well, listen, if everyone who's joining the call, I mean, be sure to please stay in touch with what we're doing. Connect with John and find out, find out more about what he's doing, because I think he's doing some really, really great stuff. So I think that's really awesome. And I'm here every Monday and Wednesdays at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And this has been John Porter, CEO of BarterPay. Check out his work. On Monday, I'll be meeting with Mitchell Marcus, who's the artistic managing director of the musical stage company, which is also going to be an interesting conversation because there's no theater events anymore. So, what's happening is a lot of the conversations are going into talk about how are we dealing with this post-COVID. Last week, we talked to Michelle Romanow from Dragon's Den, and she's talking about how her business at Clearbank, where she's working from home, and how that's happening. So people are sharing some really great insights. So it's good to have people like you on here. That was my daughter that walked by, just in case you want to know, because I'm from home. I'm working from home too, so it's all good. So anyways, if you have future questions, just comment below, tag John. He can answer questions if you have anything else you want to learn more about BarterPay or what he's up to, or how you can save on cash for your company. I think what you're doing is really great, John. I'm really impressed, really proud of what you've done. And as a father of four, man, the kudos to you, man, for being able to do all this stuff. It must have been a crazy, crazy journey. So thank you for all that and creating a great legacy and story with this cause.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. Legacy over currency. I'll tear a page out of Gary Vee's book right at the end here. Legacy over currency.
Oh, there you go. Okay, exactly. Something that's great. Okay, well, thank you so much, John. Yeah. All the best to everybody out there. Have a safe week. Stay home, stay safe, and we'll talk soon. Take care.
Yeah. See you later, everybody.